Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the League Zero Racing Series, the premier Formula iRacing League. Today we're at Fuji Speedway. It's Japanese Grand Prix number 2, and it's going to be a good one. As always, I'm your host, James East, on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, bringing the action 1080p 60 frames a second, as it looks like drivers are getting ready to grid up here today. Seeing a few new faces as well. Let's go ahead and run through the starting order for this opening sprint race of the night, and we'll go into detail about that here in a little bit. On pole, it's Reed Gibson, the number 11. Ray Aguilar starting second. Stephen Lakota starting third. Jake Duckwall starting fourth. AJ Brenner starting fifth. Michael Fairchild starts sixth. Shazi Zuhair starting seventh. Leo Delmas starting eighth. Gareth McAllister, the world-famous Australian, starts ninth. Chase Meyer starting 10th. Xavier Zanave, the Flying Frenchman, starting 11th. Andrew Neri starting 12th. Let's cycle it on back. We've got Jacob Bramley starting 13th. Devin Hughes starting 14th. Antonio Bianchi, the Italian Stallion, starting 15th. Carl Hartwell starts 16th. Peter Rettinger starting 17th. Willie Morris starts 18th. David Izzy starting 19th. And David Schmidt will round out the 20-car grid here today. Now, you heard me say the opening sprint race of the night, a different formula from what we've seen in the past. So we are running the sprint race first here tonight. And then we're going to run our feature event. So a backwards pattern. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one shapes up. So we're going to get a few more drivers up onto the grid. And we're going to get things started. Let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on. Drivers will have this broadcast pulled up on a separate device. If not, they just about always go back and watch the show over again, studying the tape. Eric Fox letting us know there should be a countdown for the lights here. Unfortunately, we're waiting for drivers to make their way to the grid. Doesn't look like Carl Hartwell is going to take the grid. He'll be starting from pit road in that number 79 machine. But here we go. The lights turn off, and we are underway. Reed Gibson up front. We see a little bit of bobbing and weaving in that mid to back of the pack. But Reed Gibson's going to get a very healthy launch there in the number 11. Let's pan to about the mid-pack as we're 3 wide already. I believe that was Shazi Zuhair, the number 10 machine, getting pushed a little bit wide there. We got Ryan Tebow, Eric Fox join us in the spectator area. Really solid guys. Reed Gibson checking out has pulled a 1.3 second gap over the rest of the field. You can see Ray Aguilar about, 1.3 back. Aguilar 0.8 up over Stephen Lakota and that number 32 machine. We got Finley Fitzsimmons. We've got Alex Rose joining the broadcast. Oh, I just saw somebody careening. That was Leo Delmas, who I believe just got his first podium last week with a wild off-track excursion. Let's see what happened to that number 21 machine. Oh, hops the curbing, all out of sorts, and around he goes. And there was another incident as well with Shazi Zuhair. Let's see what happened in the same replay. We get the camera pointed over to Shazi. Just loses the back end and careens off track. They are dropping like flies here. Oh, look at that. Willie Morris with an absolutely obliterated race car. Loses the back end. Smacks the wall. And then the wheel just magically falls off. Says, see you later. So that's an interesting point a bit. I've called races and seen Stephen Lakota before. In other series, he normally runs under an alias, not letting other drivers know just how fast and successful he is. So good to see that 32 machine of who you normally call simply Steve out on track. That number 32 California native running third here today. and doing a great job of it so far as well. So it's going to be interesting to watch his progress throughout the run. Now, we still have tight battles out on track. As I say that battle's going to get interrupted. Around goes Devin Hughes. And Xavier Zanabe, the flying Frenchman, hops off track to avoid. Looks like Shazi Zuhair has the check up a little bit there. So all sorts of excitement there. Xavier Zanabe, I think he might have gotten a slowdown having to cut through the infield. And Peter Rettinger is going to get some momentum. We got a big crash report as well. David Schmidt, sporting the number 52 machine, showed involved in several issues here. So let's see where things went wrong for him. He's still up 2 spots from where he qualified. Just pushed way too wide, loops the car around. And he's going to do a couple of accidental donuts here. Now able to rejoin fine. So Schmidt has come down pit road as it is currently the Reed Gibson show. 2.4 seconds up over the rest of the field. Now with this alternative format here tonight at Fuji, we will not be running an inverted top 12 for the feature event. Curious as well, the heat race shows 30 minutes. Oh, and the big moment there for Reed Gibson, losing the back end. That may put Aguilar back in the hunt. A very uncharacteristic incident for Gibson. And we've got more problems reported. Gareth McAllister, Peter Rettinger. I think I just saw Jace Meyer. Oh, and the field is just stacking them up here. I am very confused on how so many people are crashing in one section, but it's extremely impressive. So it looks like McAllister is going to start that incident, the number 25, the world-famous Aussie. Let's see what happens. Just loops the back end around. See if we get a nice wide angle. And look, there's the crashes developing in front. They are, thankfully, I mean, most drivers still keeping the damage off the machines, but something is going on. The traction is limited here at the Japanese Grand Prix Round 2, as we are seeing a lot of incidents from drivers. I'm not sure if this is a setup issue, if maybe the track is just scorching hot. Definitely raises some questions. Let's see if we can get the weather pulled up on the right side. So it looks like 67 degrees, track temp 69 degrees Fahrenheit. So not an overly hot track. Ryan Tebow letting us know that the last sector, and it looks like Eric Fox is going to agree, Sector 3, extremely difficult. Tough to get these machines slowed down into the corner. I mean, we've seen it before in slow sections without the downforce. Drivers really struggled. But Reed Gibson able to get himself cool, calm, and collected. He had a big incident. He's bled off about a half second to Ray Aguilar. Aguilar set the fastest lap last time by with a 117.85. About 2/10 faster than Gibson was able to click off here. So we could very much have a race by the time this is all said and done. And speaking of racing, it looks like Gareth McAllister catching up to the Frenchman Xavier Zanabe. Looks like Zanabe finding a little bit of time, gaining about 2/10. Another battle going on. Michael Fairchild. Looks like he's got Antonio Bianchi catching up. Bianchi on the push to pass. Pulls up alongside that 88 of Fairchild. Bianchi having a great race here. He is up 9 positions. Now, something we're not quite sure yet of, we're going to try and get clarification, is if qualifying also set the running order for the feature event, or if that is going to be done here in the sprint, almost serving as a second quali. We'll wait to see on that one. But Bianchi, our hard charger, he's up 9 spots. A massive sin there from Fairchild. Has to get on the binders to avoid getting into the back of Bianchi. Fox confirming that we believe the feature event will be, the grid will be set from the sprint result that we're currently watching. I've called, it must be in the hundreds of League Zero races. This is interesting. The very first time we've seen, I guess it would be a reverse running order from what we're used to, but here we go, the battle for 6th. Fairchild's going to fight back against Bianchi, pulling up along the inside, taking back over the 6th spot. That's going to put Bianchi only up 8 positions from where he started. And who's that in the background? Andrew Neri in the 64, rejoining here at League Zero and looking for a good finish. And what a great shot. I mean, you can see Fairchild and Bianchi nose to tail just ahead as we ride on board with Neri. Now, in practice, once Neri got out of the car, we had the chance to talk to him as we see contact, I believe, between Fairchild and Bianchi. Neri let us know that this really isn't a favorite track for him and the team, but having a good showing so far and very impressed. It seems, at least with this sprint race, it's an optimistic start. We've seen less driver-to-driver incidents than we have in the past. Jake Duckwall goes for a wild ride. He loses 1 spot to AJ Brenner, and now it looks like he's got Fairchild, Bianchi, and Neri closing up behind. Let's see what happened to that yellow and white number 99 machine. The corner strikes again. It's slow, it's off camber, and it's very easy to have problems under braking. Really impressed with this battle here, Fairchild and Bianchi. Neri's still very much there as well, and we've also got a report that the battle's still continuing between Gareth McAllister and Xavier Zanave. McAllister was able to make that pass up into the top 10, but the Flying Frenchman wants to fire back against the Aussie. Now we have the fans saying Aguilar needs to get on the push to pass. In previous races, we've seen Aguilar use it over the duration of an event, while someone such as Reed Gibson, the number 11, normally waits until the last lap to hold it wide. Devin Hughes has an off-track excursion, the number 60. Oh, and we had problems. Ray Aguilar has an off-track. Aguilar in the number 1 machine, the defending champ, has his own fair share of problems. Look at the car get snapped loose. Aguilar doing a little bit of grass cutting here at Fuji, helping out the lawn maintenance crew. And I think Aguilar, definitely not a race. It's very uncharacteristic to see drivers have this many problems here. We had 20 racers enter, 19 racers started. And this is one of the most stretched out grids I think I've ever called here at League Zero. Let's see, Andrew Neri trying to close that gap to Bianchi. This is the two closest drivers out on track. Yeah, definitely not a typical sprint race, as Tebow says. In history past, we have the inverted top 12 grid normally in sprint races. And then we see a lot more car-on-car contact as, whoa, Antonio Bianchi jumping the number 17 machine. Jake Duckwall takes a tow back to pit road after an incident, calling it quits. I mean, that's the exact same spot. Oh, a hard hit for Duckwall. And yeah, I think unfortunately taking a tow was the right call, but I don't think we've ever seen... so much car and track attrition as we're seeing here in this sprint race. Normally it's a car-on-car type of party. Man, this is definitely unique as we're watching McAllister and Zanave close back up, but the white flag is out for Reed Gibson, getting ready to cap off what could... Oh no, there goes Zanave! Zanave falls victim! I mean, it is absolutely brutal here at the Japanese Grand Prix. Self-spins for days, ladies and gentlemen. I've never seen such a thing. This is extremely tough for the drivers. I mean, we don't even have rain in iRacing yet. And this is the type of shenanigans we're seeing out on track. As I say that, Devin Hughes has another solo incident. Reed Gibson has a half lap left to go. I mean, if this is how the sprint race is going, I am worried about how the feature event is going to be. And here we go with about a tenth of a lap left. And yes, so we got a report. Fairchild also had an off-track excursion right after Jake Duckwall. Reed Gibson brings home the win using all the push to pass at the end, sets the fastest lap. No, it's answered by Aguilar. Aguilar will get second, and Steven Lakota rounds out the top three. We'll get a quick replay queued up of what happened to Fairchild on that white flag lap. Is he going to be the same corner, same place? Oh, a little bit unique spot, but still manages to careen it around. Goodness gracious. And there's Reed Gibson. I'm hoping at this point he just pulled over to safely park after... Yeah, he's going to burn it down here. We're going to try and get these drivers up here to victory lane. And then we will get things started. Where's our drivers? We're waiting on Reed Gibson, Ray Aguilar, Steven Lakota to make their way up here to the waiting room. We've got Gibson, we've got Aguilar. We're just waiting on Steven Lakota, aka Simply Steve. So we'll give Steve Lakota just a few more moments here to try and get his machine, that number 32 machine, up here to victory lane for his podium interview before we have to move on. It is only a brief intermission between the rounds. There we go. We'll get things started. Up first, the number 32 machine, Steve Lakota, aka Simply Steve. Good to hear from you, buddy. Welcome back to a podium, and good to have you here in the Super Formula machine putting on a great show.
Thanks. Glad to be back. First day in the car, first hours and laps in the car. So happy to be here.
Well, walk us through it, Fuji. It seemed like it was a race of single car incidents and a lot of attrition. Did you have any close calls out there this evening?
No, I mean, people kind of got closer and then they got farther away. Tried to learn how the overtake button worked, like how did the retime, how did all that stuff work in the race. So that was the only close call: is did I use all my overtake by the end of the race? So.
Well, it seems like it's working well, and a newcomer here, especially in the Super Formula car. All in all, how are you liking that car? Are you coming to grips with it? All puns intended.
Yeah, I mean it's fun. I mean, I don't know how I feel about it completely, but it's definitely a fun car to drive. Not a lot of complaints so far. I mean, Fuji's a great track. This car's a lot of downforce, so bits and pieces here and there, but yeah, overall it's great.
Well, Steve, it's great to have you up here. Your first time in the car, a top three. Got to be pumped. We wish you the best of luck in the future events to follow. But before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout to that helped make this podium possible for you?
A shout out to Erko, who was talking up the car, talking up the league, and got me out here. So
awesome.
Shout out to Erko.
God bless Erko most days. Steve, congratulations, and hope to have you back up here in the future, my friend.
Thank you so much.
That was Steven Lakota bringing it home in third. Up next, the man, the myth, the legend, the defending champ, Ray Aguilar, bringing it home second. Couple of close calls out there, though.
Yeah, a little squirrely for me tonight. Had some settings that weren't done properly. I'm trying to figure out if I took some wing damage during the race. You nail that right-hander at the bottom of the hill so fast. And I hit it one time, and I guarantee I got air. Like, all four tires came off. So I wonder if I had wing damage, too.
Yeah, well, it seemed like even guys that were out there kind of by themselves, we saw a lot of slipping and sliding out of these machines, especially in the decreasing radius off camber, that left-hander. I mean, from the beginning, did you guys feel that in practice, or is that just something new?
Yeah, no, it's definitely present in the car. Like when you're out there, you can see it, or you can feel it just changing as you hit lap after lap. These cars take a good like 6 laps to really warm up. So the initial like 4 are scary. You gotta you question whether or not you gotta lift or not, and some of these, especially in a track like Fuji, which is pretty hard.
Well, it seems like it's definitely been a race of driver attrition. Now, this is the first time that I can recall where we ran the sprint race first. We got the feature event to follow. What are your predictions for this, I guess would be the reverse format? Are you expecting a little bit cleaner race to follow now?
I mean, so tonight we're not doing the inverted field, I don't think, which means it should, we should have a similar race to the sprint. How many finished the sprint, though? I didn't actually see.
I want to
Like
say
ballpark, half,
16, I
2/3?
think. So, but we
Okay,
had
so
a
that's
bunch of
way
solo
better.
car incidents, but not as many race-ending incidents as we've seen in previous
Yeah.
sprints.
That was my fear. This track is incredibly hard on this car. And so I kind of figured there'd be a lot of like self-spin scenarios, but I think we saw, that looked a lot cleaner than the last few sprint races we've had for sure. So overall positive results so far.
Well, awesome. I know you're looking forward to the feature event. We'll let you get to it since you've only got a few minutes left. But, Ray, before I let you go, who do you want to give a thanks to that helped you bring home the second in this sprint race here this evening?
Just my teammate tonight. He put in a good show. He hasn't been feeling well. He showed up, and bam, he's actually on the track. So I'm glad to see him out there, and I appreciate it.
Well, he's an absolute legend. Ray, congratulations on second, and hope to have you back up here following the sprint, or the feature, excuse me. I'm all messed up.
Yep, all backwards tonight. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, James.
That was Mr. Ray Aguilar bringing it home in second. Up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Reed Gibson. Welcome back to the top spot. First time we ran the sprint forward instead of backwards. So how are you feeling after that one? I mean, it looked like clean air and sunshine all the way around. Reed, there we go.
Yeah, no, it was cool. Running the sprint race first was a different challenge. I felt like you kind of had to push even harder out the gates because you didn't have as many laps. So, yeah, just got a good start, put my head down, and managed the gap the best I could.
Well, following the sprint race, we believe you have the points lead in the championship since A.J. Brenner not able to make it out here tonight, or excuse me, not having the result he was looking for, finishing a little bit further back in the field with a fourth place finish. Are you thinking that without the inverted grid for this next event or the next race, the feature event, that's going to help you out with clean air in the front of that machine?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a benefits to not have to fight through the field for the feature race. I think it's I like the change, and I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Now, we noticed as well your teammate not able to make it out here tonight. Jaden looks like he's taking the night off. Where is he? Is everything all right? Because I know you guys are normally up there in the front and working together and strategizing during these things.
Oh, I think you're getting me confused. I think AJ and Jaden are teammates. I'm just running solo this season.
I can't read well, so I'm sorry, Reed. You're right. There was Squid Gang. You're with Scuderia. Is that how I say that?
The Scuderia.
Scuderia, excuse me. I'm from Georgia. That's a tough one for us. But all right, so yeah, my apologies. So yeah, the one-man show this season. I mean, holding it down, but it's always fun to watch you up there. I'm excited to see how this feature is going to work out now that we're doing the reverse running order. But before I let you go, get ready since we just have a couple minutes left. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make this sprint race win possible for you?
Just thanks as always to the league organizers. Thanks for putting on a fun event.
Awesome. Reed, always a pleasure, bud. Hope to have you back up here soon.
All right. Thanks, James.
Thank you, sir. And that was Reed Gibson bringing it home in the top spot for the sprint. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back for the feature event here at League Zero. All right, race fans, welcome back. It is time for the feature event, a different running order than our fans are used to in the past. Historically, it's been feature followed by the sprint, but today it is going to be the feature capping off the evening, and we've got a regular grid set from the finishing order. Reed Gibson starting on pole, Ray Aguilar starting second, Stephen Lakota starting third, AJ Brenner starting fourth, Antonio Bianchi starting fifth, Andrew Neri starting sixth, Jacob Bramley starting seventh, Gareth McAllister starts eighth, Michael Fairchild starting ninth, Shazi Zuhair starting 10th, Leo Delmas starting 11th, Xavier Zanabe starting 12th, cycling on back to David Izzy starting 13th, Peter Rettinger starts 14th, Devin Hughes starting 15th, Jace Meyer starting 16th, Jake Duckwall starts 17th, David Schmidt starting 18th, Willie Morris starting 19th, and Carl Hartwell will round out the 20-car grid here today. We get ready. The lights are getting ready to come on and go off. And we are live. Looks like Antonio Bianchi got a pretty good start there as they're bobbing and weaving already. I'm seeing some four-wide action. Oh, and who was that? I think that was Brenner. Xavier Zanabe. It looked like Reed Gibson was tied up in an incident. Oh, Gibson way off track there. So Gibson, did not have the start he was looking for. Got all sorts of loose. You can see the wheel-to-wheel contact. But what happens to Gibson here in turn one? Just dives in. Looks like he might have tagged Zanabe there. Now this is 24 laps or 45 minutes, whatever comes first. Right now it's Aguilar, Bianchi, Brenner, Neri, and Lakota making up the top five. I believe that Neri, representing the Hellman's Mayonnaise, I wonder if, I don't think his paint is updating properly. Let's see if we can get that refreshed for the fans. That almost looks like a default iRacing paint, so we're going to try and get that updated for the fans at home. Antonio Bianchi has company from AJ Brenner. Brenner said in between the race that it felt like he was ice skating out there. But he is going to be able to make that pass for second. Antonio Bianchi falls back to third. But look at that, Andrew Neri in the hunt here. Now, for the fans at home, when you see those paints very briefly flashing white, that is Trading Paints, the paint software updating these drivers' machines. Because we're fairly certain that Andrew Neri running a different livery than what's showing on the broadcast. It almost looks like he's teammates with Lakota. I'm fairly positive that's not the case. Are those two teammates? That would be... I haven't heard of that. Ooh, Neri with a little bit of back end stepping out. Oh, and we got problems as well. Shazi Zuhair finds himself pointed the wrong direction, a precarious spot. Shazi's such a nice guy on and off the track. Looks like he was a little bit offline there. On the same corner, strikes again. No, Shazi Zuhair steps on the brakes. I couldn't quite see who got into him. So it looks like Gareth McAllister, Reed Gibson down pit road. And Simply Steve showed involved in an incident as well. Jace Meyer involved in a spin. So I want to see what happened to Lakota. We got Nicholas Trollman in the chat. Good seeing Nick joining us. So, who was that? Was that Bianchi? So Lakota, not a too terrible incident there. And then Might has a chance of redemption as Neri goes off track. Fairchild takes over the fourth place spot from Neri. Steve Lakota, Simply Steve falling back to 6th. He's down 3 spots from where he started. Ray Aguilar up front has a commanding 3.4 second lead on AJ Brenner second. Antonio Bianchi third. Fairchild and Neri round out the top 5 as they have a battle. Wonder if Fairchild got a slowdown there. It almost like he threw out the anchor and let Neri by. The rumor is that there may be a Nicholas Trollman coming back out the leagues here in the near future. I know the fans would love to see that. As I think I saw Jacob Bramley putting some pressure on Lakota, has to back out of it. I saw a little bit of a lockup there, not quite sure who that was from. But this is a pretty heated battle for 6. And these are probably the 2 closest drivers out on track. Aguilar, almost a mirror image out of what we saw from Reed Gibson. Getting a good start, checking out from the rest of the field. Putting down another fastest lap of 118.23. Now Reed Gibson has unfortunately retired, showing him currently P16 out of the car, back in the hauler, so he will not be rejoining this one. Bramley in the hunt, closing the gap within 3/10 of Lakota. We go on board with Jacob Bramley's number 6 machine. Bit of a back and forth, and I don't mean to laugh. I see Shazi Zuhair join us in the spectator area. As a broadcaster, it's one of my favorite and least favorite things. One of your favorite drivers involved in an incident, and next thing you know, they're joining the seats here, watching the show, or the outside looking in. And that was a good onboard as well, showing how off throttle Jacob Bramley was there. I mean, historically, the faster you are in these machines, the more you're on the throttle, the more downforce you have. But those off-camber, decreasing radius corners, you're hard on the brakes, trying to get the car to turn in. And it just doesn't want to tip in too much without sliding around. Ray Aguilar out front and in charge here. Let's check back in on Antonio Bianchi. He has Andrew Neri hanging right there with him. Neri was for a moment about 4/10 off the gearbox, that number 17 machine. Oh, we got another incident. This report is now it's David Schmidt and the number 54. Let's see, is this going to be a single incident? Or is Jace Meyer going to get involved? Unfortunately, Schmidt just pushes way too far and has an off-track excursion through the kitty litter. Thankfully, no damage on that machine. Oh, I just heard it. I can't see it. That was Willie Morris. Drivers are having a very rough go here at Fuji. You can see him dip those right tires, get the car unsettled, and it's going to be the same corner rearing its head. And Morris goes for a wild ride, pulls off track. On board Andrew Neri. He's keeping the pressure on Bianchi. I don't believe Neri has ever had a League Zero podium in his career here, as we've whittled it down to 15 drivers out on track. We had 17, I believe, make it into this feature event. Jake Duckwall, Carl Hartwell, Peter Rettinger opted not to race this one. But Neri and Bianchi have to be careful. Michael Fairchild back in 5th, closing the gap. So Bianchi Neri able to pull a little bit away from Bianchi Neri pull a little bit of away of Fairchild, 1.3 seconds ahead of that number 88 machine in 5th, so working that draft together. But Neri all over Bianchi here, and this is the battle for 3rd on your screen. Bianchi, the purple and almost teal number 17 machine. Neri, the predominantly white and gold number 64. Kyle Deckard cheering on Jacob Bramley. I believe that's going to be Bramley in the number 6 machine. Garlic Dog cheering on Steve Lakota. So good to see some fan favorites from other leagues showing up, supporting their friends. Well, I just saw it for a brief moment, but Jacob Bramley very briefly triggered the off-track sensor here in the broadcast booth. And he is going to lose a little bit of time because here comes Steve Lakota. 7 tenths back, but Bramley hammers out another quick couple of tenths. Speaking of hammering out lap times, Ray Aguilar, a 1:18.21, another fastest lap of the race. Now in these Super Formula machines, they do have a mandatory fuel stop here in the features. And for the fans that are maybe joining us for the first time, as a reminder, if you take a tow out of either the sprint or the feature, you are done for that race. Now, not necessarily the night, so tonight we ran the sprint race first. If you crash out, take a tow in that one, you can rejoin from the feature. But another example, if you crash out of the feature here tonight, take a tow, you are not able to hop back in. Oh, David Schmidt careening across the track, put on a smoke show. Looked like McAllister was able to get through in the number 25 machine. I'm sorry, Ryan Tebow corrected me. I'm so used to calling the Formula 3 action as we watch David Schmidt unfortunately make the highlight reel. As a mandatory tire change here in the Super Formula machines. Drivers have enough fuel to make it till the end, so they do force a mandatory tire stop. Thank you to Ryan Tebow for that, excuse me, quick correction. Michael Fairchild back in the hunt. You can see 3rd and 4th place right ahead of him. Look at the freight train behind. That is Jacob Bramley, Stephen Lakota, and Leo Delmas. Delmas had a very rough showing in the sprint race, trying to get a little bit of redemption. He got his first podium just last week, but here we go. Looked like Steve Lakota was going to take a shot at it. And we had a crash report as well. Michael Fairchild has a big incident. Let's see what happened to Fairchild, who is closing the gap to Bianchi and Neri in that battle for 3rd. Looks like it's going to be a turn 1 incident. And just unfortunately loses it very wisely. Now, there's not many situations where I'd say don't hold your brakes. But if it's going to lead with you very quickly getting off track, I got to give Fairchild a big thumbs up for the track awareness there. Letting the car free spin backwards. So, a hilarious update for the fans. Eric Fox letting us know there is a more than 0% chance that Steve Lakota, that number 32 machine, got his first series podium in the sprint race tonight. Might not know there's a mandatory tire stop. So that is going to be a fun storyline to follow. Leo Delmas in the hunt behind Bramley and Lakota. And he's got a great view here. Oh, as he pulls up briefly alongside Bramley. Here comes Leo Delmas with a little bit of fire in his eyes. The number 21 machine looking for his 4th spot gain, but Jacob Bramley is going to fend him off. That's going to give Stephen Lakota a bit of a breakaway there in 5th. Now Lakota has to close, I believe, a 3.2 second gap to catch up to Andrew Neri, but Neri is all eyes forward on Tennio Bianchi, the number 17. As I say that, Neri closed the gap back to within a half second of Bianchi. So we could very well have a race showing up if Bianchi, can minimize the mistakes. If Neri can minimize the mistakes, but it has been a tough night for drivers. We check back in on Ray Aguilar. He has been shown the cross green and white flag, signaling the halfway mark of today's main event. And he has an extremely comfortable 7.4 second gap over AJ Brenner. Now Brenner could be back in the points with Reed Gibson forced into a very early retirement on lap 2. Brenner came into tonight just 5 points ahead of Reed Gibson in our points championship. This could be the shot of redemption that Brenner was really looking for. And we've got, unfortunately, another incident for Michael Fairchild and now Xavier Zanave. Devin Hughes goes blasting through the middle of them there. Excuse me. So let's see. I think that was the wrong incident. There we go. Well, let's see what happens to Fairchild here in the all-blue 88. And then I'm going to try and quickly grab an onboard from Devin Hughes, who is going to split the gap. So Fairchild has his incident, tries chasing the car. Not a lot of traction out there in the grass. Comes back out on track. Gets almost pinched by Zanave. And we go on board with Devin Hughes. Splits the difference right down the middle. Devin Hughes going to make it a 2-for-1 there. And thankfully, he was able to get through unscathed. Now, it's interesting. I'm seeing, for the most part, less. I don't want to hit it with the old commentator's curse, but we're seeing less incidents in this feature event. I'm almost wondering if fuel load may be playing a factor. I'd have to get some word from some of the drivers if it's the same fuel load for the sprint and in the feature. Or maybe drivers just getting the tires up to temp a little bit faster, getting more comfortable with the car. We check in. And the track's still about the same temperature. It's heated up to about 74 degrees on the track surface. 68 degrees ambient air temperature. And I think I just saw Xavier Zanave way off camera. And Michael Fairchild, Devin Hughes will get a spot back, as well as William Morris. Zanave comes down pit road. Let's see what happened to the flying Frenchman, the green and yellow number 12. Oh, that was an aggressive place to lose the back end. Tags the safety barrier. And Zanave does seize that opportunity to come down pit road. See how bad the car might be damaged to get back out on track. So if Zanave is unable to rejoin, that's going to only leave 13 drivers out on track. And towards the back of the field, we have Jace Meyer, David Izzy battling for the 11th place spot. The 20 of Meyer, the 29 of Izzy. As it looks like Meyer able to get a little bit of breathing room. Aguilar, tons of breathing room. He came into tonight 4th in points, about 29 back from AJ Brenner. But with Jaden Calloway being away here tonight, Reed Gibson being retired early in this feature, and a good podium position for Aguilar in the sprint, he could have a chance of getting back in the points hunts as well. I just saw it out of the corner of my eye. Jacob Bramley joining a very long list of drivers with solo incidents. He was running 7th. He may lose a spot here to from Devin Hughes. Let's see what happened to Bramley. And once again, Fuji rearing its ugly head. This is a compounding issue for the drivers as well. Every time you find yourself careening around, you can very quickly find yourself overheating those tires, and they're very, very greasy. Then they slide around more, and it's an exponential problem for these drivers. Now, Xavier Zanave was able to return to the racing surface. Devin Hughes, I believe, is going to be the first driver down pit road for a scheduled green flag stop. 8 laps left to go, or 25 minutes. Willie Morris also coming down pit road. Now, I believe if I'm doing the math correctly, drivers will have plenty of time here on the clock to complete all 24 laps. Devin Hughes, Willie Morris rolling back out on track. Hughes was in his pit stall for 11.67 seconds. Morris 7.5. But Morris will go down a lap here as Ray Aguilar continues to run. Steven Lakota also coming down pit road for his one and only scheduled stop. Going to be interesting as well to see what happens with drivers coming out on cold tires. We've seen in races past, some drivers wait till the very end to take tires to minimize how long they are on those cold tires. And in other races past, Reed Gibson's a great example, came down very early. Granted, in that previous race I'm thinking of, Gibson had some damage. Came down pit road very early, lap 2 or 3 of the feature. Had a caution that put him back in the running, but he spent pretty much the entire race on the same set of tires and was able to get them heated up and kept them heated up. Something has happened to Steve Lakota, though, as he's in his pit stall for 22 seconds and counting. Willie Morris getting reported with another incident, so we're going to keep the spin out counter going. You can see he drove in too deep there, wasn't quite able to get the car settled at that point. We kind of knew what the writing was on the wall. Something has happened to Steve Lakota. I'm not sure if he had a botched pit entry. Let's look and critique. Oh, that might have been a speeding penalty for Steve. He leaves his pit stall after 51.9 seconds in the box, so I think Lakota may have got a speeding penalty while that was going on. Leo Delmas, Jacob Bramley coming down pit road. Well, Andrew Neri getting reported with some off-track excursions. The spin counter just keeps climbing, ladies and gentlemen. So Neri had caught up to the back of Bianchi. Oh, very odd place. I mean, it didn't really look like Neri was even on the throttle there. Jace Meyer, David Izzy on pit road. Willie Morris with an extended stay in his pit stall as well on the 46. Oh, and I think things are going bad for worse for Lakota. as he's going to join the spin counter here at Fuji. Just as we got the respective Fs put in chat. The Lakota came out cold tires. Loops the back end. Thankfully, the respects are being paid for Simply Steve in the spectator area. Andrew Neri and Michael Fairchild down pit road. That is just going to leave the top three. Aguilar, Brenner, Bianchi out on their original set of tires. When are they going to opt to come down pit road? Or are they going to wait until the last possible moment? Now, drivers are not allowed to come down pit road on the white flag lap, nor are they allowed to come down and take tires on the opening lap. McAllister moves up to fourth. He came down pit road on lap 2. Maybe trying the same strategy we saw Gibson use in the past. Willie Morris just getting reported in another incident. Unfortunately, this time it looks like he's going to take a tow back to pit road. AJ Brenner down pit road in the second place spot. Let's see what put Morris into an early retirement. A self-spin. We've got more incidents out on track. David Izzy, Jacob Bramley also showing involved in an incident. Not sure if they were together. We're going to focus in on Izzy's number 29. You see the smoke ahead. He's a little out of shape, and around he goes. Let's see, was Jacob Bramley tied up in that? Yes, he was. Having to brake more than he was expecting. Enough to throw the car out of balance. Now, Ray Aguilar has a lot of traffic up ahead. I believe that is Devin Hughes and Michael Fairchild just ahead of the number 1 plated machine. What a wild night. I will say, I've got to give credit where it's due. This new format with the order of the race seems to be boding well. Ray Aguilar down pit road. And oh no, Lakota, I think his night going from bad to worse. He did bring home a podium in the sprint, but the feature event, he's watching that chance slip away. And slip is definitely the word. So let's see. Bianchi stays out for another lap. Gonna take over the race lead on pit strategy. Aguilar in second. Gareth McAllister showing third, who came down pit road on lap 2, which could have been quite a play from the young Australian driver. I think I just spotted Xavier Zanave, the flying Frenchman, ahead of Bianchi. Zanave fighting to stay on the lead lap, knowing Bianchi has yet to come down pit road. So how long is Bianchi going to stay out here for? That number 17 machine. With lap traffic, I mean, we've seen it with other drivers. If you get off your rhythm, especially in the decreasing off-camber stuff, very easy to slide these cars around and send your race-winning dreams home. Bianchi's going to stay out for another lap here. Now he's got a 22-second advantage over Ray Aguilar. It looked like Aguilar spent 41.7 seconds from the time he crossed the first pit entry cones to exiting pit road. He spent 7.08 seconds in his pit stall. So now it is going to be strategy based for Antonio Bianchi. And here we go, Bianchi down pit road. Let's get the camera pointed over to Aguilar. See where he's going to be at compared to his teammate once the pit cycle is complete. So Aguilar now showing about 13.5 seconds ahead of his teammate Bianchi. Bianchi about 5.5 up over Gareth McAllister, but keep an eye out AJ Brenner, the points leader coming into tonight's event at the Japanese Grand Prix Round 2, within a second of McAllister. And let's give some credit back here to Steve Lakota. Just set the fastest lap of the race on 117.92. Steven in that 32 definitely has the pace. Now he just needs the consistency. And I think he could very much be a front runner in this series once he comes to grips with the car a little bit more. And I don't think Fuji is a great opportunity for drivers to really showcase their ability. We've seen some of the best fighting with car control. As McAllister fighting tooth and nail here to hold on to a podium. The white flag is out for Ray Aguilar. Bianchi still second. And McAllister's going to do everything he can to hold on to third. And here we go, AJ Brenner all over the gearbox of McAllister. McAllister has 3/10 advantage, trying to hold on to third. Both drivers have used all of their push to pass allocated. McAllister, the young Aussie, about to make that 25 machine as wide as he possibly can. Looks like Brenner hanging back here slightly to try and set something up on this final lap. Oh, Brenner closes the gap quickly. They're gaining almost a couple of tenths. McAllister fights back, pulling it to his advantage. Traction has been at a premium, but the checkered flag will fly. Ray Aguilar picks up the win here at Fuji. Antonio Bianchi trying to get to that start-finish line, looking for a bit of a break. Bianchi will finish second, and McAllister will bring home the third, his first podium of the season. And Aguilar, time to celebrate is now. My goodness, what a night, ladies and gentlemen. The two teammates, Ray Aguilar and Antonio Bianchi, first and second. McAllister says, hey, I'm not on your team, but I want in the photo at least. So Ray Aguilar enjoying the moment. His teammate Bianchi also out on track. And McAllister throwing the hand out the window to his grandmother who always watches. Andrew Neri also out on track, celebrating with his teammate. So we're going to get the interview started here. Up first, the world-famous Australian Gareth McAllister on the podium for the first time this season. And I want to say it's been a minute since we've had you up here at League Zero, but man, you've got to be happy with how things went at Fuji.
I'm absolutely ecstatic, James. How you doing? Because I don't know what to say.
I mean, it looked like an excellent race. You were driving the wheels off that 25, trying to keep Brenner at bay. I mean, I know you must have had big eyes behind you, knowing that number 80 machine was doing everything to take you off that podium spot.
Yeah, I was really, really worried in that final lap. I thought, oh man, he's gonna have the run, and I was out of push to pass, and I wasn't sure I was gonna do it. And that strategy I had of, I came up with it really only before the race began. I thought, you know what, maybe I'll pit lap 2 so that everyone can keep going past me, and I'll just run my own race. And I just kept seeing people come into the pits, and I thought, oh, if I just keep the pedal down, I'll go past them, and it seemed to work out brilliantly.
Yeah, we've seen it with one other driver. I think has pulled off that strategy this season, so that might be a bit of a factor for some of the other. But so with the mandatory tire stop no longer needing fuel, are you happy with the changes we're seeing in strategy in the feature events?
Look, I'd love it if we had tire changing and fuel as well. Unfortunately, this car doesn't allow us to do that, which is a little bit of a shame. But otherwise, I mean, this car is a whole lot of fun. Very glad they put it in here. And really, I got credit to all of League Zero. I mean, this was an incredibly safe race, like for the sprint and the feature. We might see more of this format going forward because of how well these cars and these drivers seem to do this time around.
Yeah, it was a really good one. A lot of fun for us to watch up here, both in the broadcast booth as well for the fans at home. Gareth, I know you a lot of emotions going through you, but before I let you sign off and celebrate that number 25 machine, who do you want to give a shout to that helps make this podium possible for you?
Yeah, James. I reckon if I had a heart beat monitor on me, it would have been 200 plus at the end of that one. But I'd like to give a shout out to you, of course, James. Thank you for the broadcast. Always fantastic to see the broadcast back on Team Goon Squad's YouTube channel. But also Ray and Antonio. They didn't help me too much, but they were in the call with me on Discord, and I feel like they were almost talking about strategy themselves, and I just kind of had an ear listening in, so it kind of helped me in a weird way as well. But also thanks to everyone in this league and family and friends watching at home. I know my grandparents will be cheering me on. Unfortunately, not watching right now, but they will be in a couple of days, and I know I'll go back to it and watch it as well. So thanks again, James.
Awesome. Thank you, Gareth. Congratulations on third, and hope to have you back up here more often, my friend.
I look forward to it as well. Cheers.
Cheers. That was Gareth McAllister bringing it home in second, his first podium of the season. Up next, the Italian stallion, Antonio Bianchi. Antonio, we heard from your teammate Aguilar you're feeling a bit down under the weather, but maybe a second place here at Fuji will kind of turn that around a little bit.
It did, in fact. I can't lie, I didn't turn a single lap of practice, so I was fully not expecting to get anywhere near the results that I got. Actually, literally was coming home from the hospital. Nothing life-threatening, don't worry, I'm all good, but I had to go there due to some medical stuff going on. But yeah, I was just like coming home, I'm like, I might need you to register for me. I'm like, I'm gonna make it, it's gonna be tight. And came in and wow, pulled off a fifth in the sprint and a second in the feature race. I will say that trial format helped me out a ton there.
Yeah, now talk us through that. I know we did it to try and clean up some of the races and shenanigans we've seen as drivers are adapting to a new car, but I mean, from an outsider looking in, it seemed like the new strategy worked perfectly. We had a ton of self spins, but not the usual car-to-car carnage we've seen in the past.
Yeah, no, it seemed to be a good option. Again, as a league owner, you don't want to see your races be a crapshoot. This track, we knew there was going to be a lot of self spins. It's very technical last section, lots of off camber corners, weird corners. Car doesn't turn, easy to spin your tires and stuff, getting on the gas. So I'm not too worried about the self spins. I think as a whole it was successful. I'd like to try it and have a bad race if that makes sense, like maybe a bad sprint race and see if it's still worth it. I just think overall it would benefit everybody because you do bad in the qualifying, you get a chance to qualify or to do better for the feature race by doing good in the sprint race. You have a bad sprint race, you now have 40 whole minutes to recover in the feature race, and it prevents those lap one craziness moves because if you screw up your sprint race, now you screw up two races. So, and in the feature race, if you go screw that up, now you screw up the points race. You know what I mean? The big one. So I think overall it worked well. I'm happy for it, and I'm stoked for my result here. I thought it was great.
Well, Antonio, it's been a great week for you in iRacing across the board, so pumped to have you back up here. I mean, a 1-2 finish for you and the team. I know you guys are both pumped. Before I let you go, celebrate and do the fun admin work, who do you want to give a shout to that helps make this second place possible for you?
As always, shout out to my teammate Ray. He's always there supporting me, whether it be on or off the track. So huge shout out to that guy. Other than that, as usual, shout out to my man James East, always putting on a beautiful broadcast. Joseph Penn for race control, and my lovely Stewart team, always making it a good time here. And obviously, shout out to everybody who showed up. And Gareth got a podium. Happy birthday, Gareth.
Happy birthday, Gareth. Antonio, always a pleasure. Good to have you back up here, and congratulations on second, my friend.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. We'll see you soon, hopefully.
Thank you, sir. That was Antonio Bianchi, the Italian stallion, bringing it home in second. Up next, the man, the myth, the Little Debbie legend, Ray Aguilar, back in the top seat once more.
I'm pumped, man. That couldn't have went any better. I got lucky with the Reed thing because he would have probably swamped me tonight. But yeah, it was smooth, fun, and I ended up getting to watch some of the football game during that.
Gee, that is a commanding lead. I mean, 15.8 seconds. Watching the other show while winning the race dominant fashion. I mean, we've kind of talked to the other drivers. I feel like you're going to be feeling the same, and a huge fan of that format with the sprint and the feature to follow. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Nope, I think you're right. This might be the way we do things going forward. It gives the incentive to go into the sprint race and think like, man, yes, this is a short race. Yes, I need to be aggressive, but I also need to worry about the position I start the feature in. So I'm going to be way more conservative in the sprints now.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic for you, but you're right. Normally, the sprint race, it's a mad dash, especially with historically the inverted top 12, where the fast guys have to muscle through as quickly as they possibly can. Grant, we had a ton of self-spins and incidents, but we're kind of attributing that to the track more than anything. But as I was telling Antonio and Gareth, this might be one of the cleanest races we've seen as far as car-to-car contact goes.
Yeah, for sure. I think I didn't see much of any of that. Any start you're going to get some wheels touching here and there, but I didn't see any. We didn't get any cautions. I didn't see any massive pileups or anything. And part of that's also going to be the season's progressing and people are starting to get used to this car. I can see folks are practicing tonight. Like Eric Fox, he was supposed to be here tonight. He couldn't. He put in a bunch of work this week, I know. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of these guys do better and get some experience under our belt, including me.
Well, it seemed like things went all the way around, and I guess my final question, how cool is it to have both your teammate and a longtime friend with McAllister join you on the podium here for this feature event?
It is awesome. I was congratulating Gary on his podium tonight, and I hope his grandparents are watching. I've always wanted to meet them. And for me and my teammate, I don't know that we've ever done that, especially on a feature before. I don't know that we've ever done a 1-2 before, so first time for everything, I guess. Awesome night.
Well, awesome. Ray, always a pleasure having you up here, and you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout to that helped you bring home this feature win?
All the gorgeous people that watch Team Good Squad broadcasts. Chase Small for helping me tune the car this week and get everything lined up. He's not feeling well tonight, but I hope he's watching from the stands. And my teammate and family, as always, they always help me get here.
Awesome, Ray. Always a pleasure, bud. Congratulations to you, your team, and your friends. A great race, and hope to have you back up here more in the rest of the season.
Love you.
Love you too, buddy. That was Ray Aguilar bringing it home in the top spot, accompanied by his teammate, who we believe might be the first time we've ever seen those guys go 1-2. And, of course, that was Antonio Bianchi in second, and then Gareth McAllister, the world-famous Australian, the eternal birthday boy, rounding out the top three. On behalf of LeagueZero.net, my name has been James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for tuning in, showing up, supporting the drivers, the league, as well as the broadcast. And I'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.